It's time to make that potato soup that I promised you guys we would make after I harvested all of my potatoes. So let's get cooking. I have grabbed 10 of the biggest potatoes that I've harvested this year, washed them, and now we just gotta peel them. I didn't know until recently that with your potato peeler, you are actually able to go both down and back with that. So you should be able to go back and forth, and it's supposed to be quicker. Sometimes I can actually get it to go nice and smooth. Other times, it's just easier to do it the one way.
Hopefully I'm not the only one who didn't know this, and I was teaching you something new as well.
It obviously works better if you have a flat potato.
The potato soup recipe that we're making today is an absolute family favorite in our house. As soon as anyone sees me harvesting potatoes, they get really excited because they know that this soup is soon to come, and it doesn't matter whether it's a cold rainy day or a hot summer day, they love it either way. There's something about the nice creamy texture that it has that just warms everyone's bellies and makes them so happy.
All right, now that we've gotten this all peeled, we're gonna cut our potatoes into large chunks. I'm just gonna get rid of this mess first. And you don't have to worry about all of the pieces being the same, just cut them into chunks. You want to obviously get them to similar sizes because we're going to be boiling the potatoes, but they don't have to be exact. The potato soup that we're doing today is going to be a potato and leek soup, which you can substitute the leeks for just about anything that you want. If you want it to be broccoli, if you want it to be onions, if you want to keep it leeks, or if you want to choose something else, that's completely fine. Today we're just going to use leeks because that's what the kids requested. So I have some frozen leeks from the garden that I harvested in spring, and we're just going to toss those in. But first we want to start with our large pot over medium heat. I have about 2 tablespoons of butter in there heating up right now and melting. And then we're going to toss in our garlic and leeks and let them fry up. Okay, once you've got the vegetables just kind of fried up a little bit and softened, then we're going to add in our potatoes. I hope my pan's big enough. Just, I'd say, just big enough. Then we're gonna add in 4 or 5 cups of chicken stock, which I just use the chicken stock cubes and then mix it with water. So with that, for each cube, you would have 1 cup of water. So I do 5 of those, 5 cups of water, and combine it together, which you don't have to do this ahead of time. You could just add in your water and your stock cubes into the pan and let them dissolve that way. But because I know my pan probably could afford to be a little bit bigger, I do it ahead of time. And I'm gonna give this a bit of a stir just so we can get all of those leeks off and garlic off of the bottom. And then I'm going to add in my salt and my pepper. And you can, of course, add more or less than I'm adding, and it can always be added in later as well. So I know I'm putting in a lot right now, but I always tend to add in even more as we're eating the soup. I'm going to put in just a couple pinches of nutmeg as well. Oops. That was maybe more than a couple pinches. Once I've given that a stir, I'm just gonna pop the lid on and we're gonna let it simmer for about 30 to 35 minutes. What we're looking for are for those potatoes to just be nice and tender. If you see that it is getting too hot and maybe looking to boil over, you can either turn that down a little bit, or you can just tip the lid to the side and let some of that excess steam come out. Yeah, so I've just taken this off the heat. We're gonna get this blended up. If you have an immersion blender, you can start to do that now and just kind of mash everything together and it will turn into a nice creamy soup. If you don't have an immersion blender, you'll have to do something like I do. So I just kind of, small doses at a time, put it into the blender to blend it up. The only thing you have to be careful with putting it in the blender is you're not really supposed to put hot stuff in the blender. I make sure that I release the steam in either by undoing the cover every couple spins or by keeping the top off here. But you don't want that steam to build up in the blender because it will cause like a suction on the top and you won't be able to get that off. And then when it comes off, the steam will be so hot. So just be really careful if you are doing it in the blender like I am. So I just do a couple scoops at a time and I definitely don't fill it up. If I do anything, I might fill it up to half, but definitely no more than half when you're filling up the blender. And you also want to get a good mix of the potatoes and the broth so that it spins nice. And then once I've blended that, I just pour it into a bigger bowl and I do the next batch, just all until it's done. Once you have it all in a nice creamy texture, we're gonna pour that back into our pot because we have to add in our cream now as well. And our cheese. Oops, almost forgot about the cheese.
So here I have just added in 1 cup of heavy cream. I will also add in 1 cup of shredded cheddar cheese, but you won't see that on the video because I did have a couple corrupted files, but the cheese, you just keep stirring in until that all melts into the soup and it is so good. And there we have it, our finished product topped with some nutmeg and dried parsley. This recipe is a must try. So try it out and leave a comment letting me know how much you loved it. Happy cooking and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye guys.